Hello and welcome to a new video on the Lighting Workshop YouTube channel. So just a quick introduction. My name is Charlie. I'm a freelance LD and all-round lighting nerd. And these videos are just a little bit of fun, a little bit of exercising my brain, but also just to sort of do a little bit of teaching, I suppose. I do enjoy that. I do want to stress I am not an elite programmer by any measure. I know my way around EOS, and I've been using it for a very much large number of years, and I am currently diving into Grandmaze 3, but ultimately these videos are here just for me to share some bits and bobs, answer some questions, and be a friendly voice to help explore some things within these things. And maybe at some point I'll do some videos specifically focusing at or on creative lighting design, as that is what I usually spend most of my time on. So but nonetheless, what are we focusing on today? We are focusing on using effects in live and sort of the things we can actually do when it comes to editing parameters or editing attributes of effects in live, and how we go about that. Another thing, for example, is changing things like the speed of an effect, but without creating a new effect, and just doing it live and storing that information exclusively in queues. So we're just going to look into that, because that's not something that necessarily is common knowledge, I don't think, with a lot of the sort of less frequent users, or perhaps the users of the desk that are not exclusively lighting bias, I suppose. And it's just a really useful trick, so I thought I would make a little video on it. So just going to quickly explain, we are looking at a blank show file. There's nothing in this. The only thing that there is 4 moving lights. We have 4 VL2600s or VL2600s, whatever you want to call them. On far stage left, we have channel 1, and on far stage right, we have channel 4. Anytime I call up group 1, I'm just selecting them all. So we are going to explore some cool little tricks that we can do in EOS when it comes to creating changes, or rather making changes to effects in live, so we don't delve into the effects screen in blind. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to just grab the fixtures, and I'm going to just quickly point them over to us, and I'm just going to store that as raw information in a queue, just so that we have something to look at, which is lovely, marvelous. Let's now say that I am going to make an absolute effect. Now, this is something else I'm going to explore. Now, in EOS, out of the box, you get effects 901 through 918, which are a set of focus, linear, and color effects that just that they're baked into the desk. You can delete them, you can modify them, but if you have a new show file, this is what you get. What you can also do is create effects in live. How would we do that? How would we go about that? So if you create a new effect in live, it defaults to the off-the-shelf, out-of-the-box settings when you create a new effect. So I'm going to demonstrate that now. So I'm going to grab group 1, and apply an effect, but as we normally would, but I'm going to type in a number that does not exist in the effects screen and hit enter. And what we get is the create type display that you normally see in the effects tab while you're in live, which is cool. Now you'll notice group 1 is still selected at this point. This is quite important. And let's say I want to grab an absolute effect, and immediately we start seeing stuff. So what's happening here? So effect 1 is an absolute effect, and it has it's basically created an absolute effect, put it in effect 1, and immediately applied it to group 1. So let's just quickly show that. I'm now in effect and effects, and we can see effect 1 has now appeared miraculously, and on my primary display we have the settings for effect 1, and as you can see, it's like the new out of the box stuff. When you click on absolute, when you make an absolute effect, this is what you're left with at the beginning. You have a forward attribute and 2 actions. You have a level of 0 and an action with a level of background. So since we applied it and they had a level of 100%, they're just oscillating between full and 0. That's all they're doing. So if I hop over back into here, we can see that they're doing that. And let's say that we record that into Q2. Which looks lovely. We can see some wonderful, nice patterns there happening now. So what we're going to do is we're now going to look at speeding this effect up. But I don't want to go into effects. So what I could do is I could press effect on my desk twice and open this up. I could make a copy of effect 1 by going effect 1, copy to effect 2, and then going into here and then speeding things up by using the cycle time. I could do that. Or if you wanted to be a little bit more organized, I could take effect 1 and copy it to 1.5. You can, this is something else people don't necessarily know, you can do effect decimals. The desk will let you do that. But let's say I don't want to do that either. Because I'm not going to remember that. Let's say that this change is a one-off thing. It's not something I'm going to constantly recall. And perhaps I also want to kind of... It would help if I could see it live, because it's sort of a last-minute alteration or something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab effect 1 like that. And all I've typed in is effect 1. And you can see we have this new menu pop up, this spreadsheet, and all it shows is the information concerning the effect. So you can see the channels, source, and you can see that they're in blue. All of the color coding that you normally see in live table or the tombstones applies here, so the blue and the red, etc. So when you see a red color here, it is a manual value that hasn't been stored. This won't necessarily be all of them. It could just be the size or the rate, etc. So I've grabbed that. The other thing that's of interest is down here, the encoder displays, where you normally see pan, tilt, zoom, and things like that. We've got axis, horizontal, size, and rate. Now, if I was on a real desk now, I could start turning the far right encoder clockwise, and you would start immediately seeing the fixtures on the stage getting faster. Obviously, I don't have the real desk in front of me, so I can just hit rate and I can type in a number. So let's say if I change it from 100 to 500. It gets a hell of a lot faster. And as you can see, as I said, the rate has now gone red because that is now a manual value. So if I now hit record Q3, that has now been stored in Q3. And if I hop over to my Q list, you'll notice a distinct difference. So in Q3, where the effect is running faster, where we just edited it, it's got this asterisk applied to it. And that's because it's the effect plus an edit, a modification that we've made in live that you just saw us do. And in Q2, effect 1 is the default one that we made. So this is currently running at a cycle time of 2, and then we hit go, and it's been sped right up. So if you can imagine the rate number on the screen as sort of almost like a percentage, 100 being whatever it was originally set in effects. Any number below 100 will be slower. Any number above 100 will be faster. A similar concept applies to things like size. So there we are. That looks really, really cool. I like that. So let's now say that I'm going to stop the effects and put them in a blue. Like that. And record that as our next cue. There we are. Another thing we can do is we can apply fans to effects. How do we do that? So what I mean by that is you might have seen, if you're unfamiliar with fan is something we use to take a set of information and alter it in a certain way that is either pretty or useful to us. So for example, if I grabbed group 1, and I'm going to quickly pop them over there so we can see them a bit better, and I fan them to center, and then I get my pan encoder, you can see I can move them like that. So they are fanning from a center point outward using pan. So that's what fan will do. But we can use this same concept with effects. So let's now say I record that as my next cue. And let's say that now I want to take group 1, run effect 1, which was our 1, 2, 3, 4 sort of chase thing with absolute, hit fan, and then hit this one here, mirror out. This is just a bit of a classic sort of thing I can do, and hit mirror out, hit apply, and then you'll notice something a bit different. What it's doing is it's taken channel sets 2, 3, 1 and 4, kept them as separate things, and now rather than going 1, 2, 3, 4, it's doing 1, 2, da 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 da, and then the opposite side mirrors it. So for example, if we had 10 of these fixtures, it would see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the opposite side would mirror it in sync. And we can see that because we've only got 4 fixtures, it just looks like it's oscillating between 2, but you can see where I'm getting at. So that's something else we can do. And I can record that to Q6, which is really cool. And then let's say that what I want to do is grab group 1, stop them, and point them back there maybe. Record that as our next cue. And then let's say we now want to look at changing sizes of effects in live. How do we do that? So let's just grab group 1 and run effect 901. Oh, sugar, 901. So 901 is our basic effects that runs a little circle, which looks lovely, and I'm going to just store that in a queue so that we have it as a reference. And then let's say that what I want to do in the next cue is I want to make the circle much bigger. The circle that they are the pattern that they're going. How do we do that? So let's grab effect 901, and you can see we have size. Again, you can use your physical encoder on your desk to do this, but if I hit size and I say 200, you'll notice, oh, we got a little bit bigger there. Let's do a size of let's go 250. There we go. There we are. And now they are doing effect 901. We haven't created a new effect at all. That's not what's happening here. All we've done is taken 901 and just bent it around a little bit. And what we've done is made the size of the effect bigger. If you were doing this in the effects tab, you would be messing with the scale, but that's what we're doing. We're just making it a lot bigger, and then I can just hit record in our next cue, and that's now stored. And if we hop over to our cue list, the way to understand what we've done is any effects that have had anything meddled with, as we've done in live, without hopping into effects and without creating a new version of it, you will see an asterisk. So you can see that Q8, which has effect 901 as you would normally see it, in Q9, where we changed the size and it does a much bigger circle, in Q9 we see this little asterisk pop up, which just indicates that an attribute of the effect has been changed. The same applies here with Q2 and Q3. So if I go to Q2 and hop over, so Q2 is effect 1, which is the default absolute effect as you would normally expect it to see it. I hit go, and then it speeds right up, and you'll notice in Q3 we get an asterisk indicating that there has been a modification to the effect. And there we are. And then I can hit go again, we get our blue that we had. Hit go again, we get our fan little demonstration that I showed you there. Hit go again, and they start doing mirror out. Something to point out, we are currently in Q6. Now, Q6 does not have an asterisk next to the effect number. Why? The reason is because we have not changed the effect itself. Nothing about the effect has been altered. All we did is applied a fan over this. So what we're looking at is effect 1 with a fan of mirror out applied, which just changes what channels get the information in what order, if you like. It's not, we're not talking to we're not modifying the attributes of the effect as such. So just to bear in mind, anything that's been fanned won't get an asterisk because we haven't actually altered the effect itself. And then go again, we get our little center point bit again, and then we get our default circle 901, and then we get 901 with a bit of spice where it's a little bit bigger. Of course, this is a really useful tool where you just want to very quickly modify something in one particular part of your show. What you can also do is, this information applies, as you would assume, in exactly the same regard to tracking. So this will then be tracked through until we tell it not to do that. Or, for example, if you want to just speed things up for one very quick moment in a queue, you can make these changes and record it as queue only or update to queue only. So really, really useful little trick that EOS has, and is really, really useful. There is so much more that meddling with effects in live can do, but I think itching the surface, and I think what I've touched on here is probably something that really 90% of people are going to look at most of the time, where they just want this effect that they constantly use just to be a bit faster. And it's just something really quick and easy to change, because you can just go through, if you have an effect and you just want to make it faster and slower and you don't have the time to fuss about, you can just use the encoder and just quickly bosh it out and then just pop it into queues. So it's really, really useful in that regard as well. So yeah, I hope this video has been of help to someone. If you have any questions, queries, dilemmas, or if I did anything in today's session that you don't recognize, or you want me to dive into a bit more, whatever it might be, do let me know. Before I disappear, I'm going to look at one other cool thing that you can do with effects in live, and that is the replace with function. So I'm going to, what is our last queue? Effect 9. No, Q9, sorry. Go to Q9. So we're in Q9. Let's say I have decided I hate the circle effect for this, and I want to change it with another effect that I know I have. And let's say that just for the purposes of a practical example of representation, I want to replace 901 with effect 904. Here is a really nice way of doing that. What I can do is I can just grab effect 901, replace with 904, and now anything with 901 has been replaced with effect 904. And all I can do is hit update, and that information has been stored. The other thing you will notice, however, is all it has done is swapped out the effect number on the far left. So our edit of the size of the effect is still applied. So it doesn't default the effect by doing that. If you wanted to do that, you'd then just have to go size 100 and update that. And now, because we put it to 100, the star disappears. Anyway, I've shown you another trick now, so I'm going to go to Q1 and disappear. So yes, I hope this has been helpful. Any questions and queries, do let me know. It's been a pleasure. So thank you very much. My name's Charlie, and hopefully I will see you in future videos. Again, if there's any subjects you want me to dive into, do let me know. Nice one. Thank you very much, everyone. Hope to see you in another one, and bye.